So, ARMS. I don't think it's much of a stretch to say that ARMS 2 is kind of inevitable at this point. I thought it was pretty likely beforehand, considering the general positive reception, as well as the oft-overlooked fact that the game sold over 2 million units. But then there was the Smash reveal, a new online tournament, and just flat out giving the game to everyone with a Nintendo Switch Online account for free, all at the same time. It's pretty obvious that not only is the Big N not done with ARMS, they're preparing for something big. And frankly, I couldn't be happier. ARMS 2 is actually one of my most wished-for sequels. The game may not have been perfect, frankly, it had many glaring flaws that needed to be addressed. However, it works as an amazing springboard of potential, and we're finally about to see if this series can live up to that. I've actually thought about this a lot, so I compiled 10 new features and improvements that would probably be a good idea to put in ARMS 2. So let's get right into it. This is clearly going to happen, but I should go over it anyways out of obligation. If you know one thing about ARMS, it's that arms are involved, and that the game has some phenomenal character design. All I ask is that, 1, they don't cut anyone, please, dear God, don't cut Lollipop, I'm begging you! And 2, they keep up the good work. Making characters this good takes crazy talent and effort. I can only hope that this tradition of quality is kept up with. Same could be said about stages and ARMS, just keep upping the variety and make as many crazy ones as you can get away with. Preferably no cuts on this end too, but it's more understandable considering the sheer amount of them, as well as the potential mechanic and balancing changes they'll make. With all that praise about the character design out of the way, however, one has to make the obvious observation that these characters aren't really given much to, do. They're expressive and well animated for what little they actually accomplish outside of punching. But all you actually get to see them do is fight. A couple victory poses and some pictures, I guess? Biff tells you little snippets about them semi-occasionally, but like, show don't tell. And if you're gonna tell, let characters themselves tell it a little bit, you know? Here's what I suggest. For starters, give each character actual taunts and maybe some skippable introductions. Second, let the characters actually interact with each other. Whether after each fight or during the arcade ladder, characters should have banter, preferably with full voiceover. Given how much quality voice acting went into Fire Emblem Three Houses, I'd say this is totally doable. After that, I think all characters should actually get a Grand Prix ending cutscene, and maybe beginning ones too. In the first game, all you get for beating the Grand Prix is a neat pose and a single picture, which the art is great and they should totally keep making these, but also like, come on. Other fighting games have slideshows with actual writing at the bare minimum. Aside from the character design of ARMS being very good, you might notice that in contrast, the world of ARMS is currently very undercooked. And I think it hurts the game drastically. Imagine if in Splatoon 1 we didn't have a hub. No Squid Sisters, no shopkeeps, and not even a campaign with a story that goes with it. There's just menus. You go straight to Turf Wars, that's it, you're done. Sure, the gameplay is still super fun and the Inklings are full of character, but would the game be nearly as good? I'd say definitely not. That's the predicament ARMS is currently in. You ever realize how we've never seen a single non-player character in the ARMS universe? Other than a still image of Biff with mouth flaps and the generic crowd members, I guess. Or the fact that we don't even know what Biff is supposed to be. Or see anything in the ARMS world, like, at all. We currently have absolutely no idea how society functions in this world compared to ours. It almost feels like these fights take place in a vacuum where nothing exists or matters but this tournament of long-armed punching. I think the only meaningful bit of plot development this game ever got was the last thing the game ever got at all, with Dr. Coyle. But then they just kind of stopped updating it, so this sequel needs to give us a heaping helping of world building, and I'm actually fairly confident it'll deliver. I mean, if the devs didn't care, they wouldn't be making all these hints about Springman's character or making a graphic novel, whenever that finally comes out. So ARMS, like Smash Brothers before it, really straddles the line between competitive and casual play. In its current state, I'd say it's more of a casual fighter with an edge. But oddly, the casual element isn't overly developed. Items are a pivotal component of any versus-type party game, but ARMS only has 2, or well, technically 4. Juice, which either restores HP or raises your rush meter when you stand next to it, and bombs, which explode. Wow! With either fire or electricity. It's pretty meager, they should probably add more, with the caveat, of course, of being able to turn them off individually if you want. It would make casual play all the more zany and fun, that's for sure. Like, what if sometimes that ring from the basketball minigame spawns above the middle of the stage, encouraging both players to try and grab and dunk each other for extra damage or a boost of rush energy. Or maybe a type of bomb that when it detonates causes the entire perimeter of the arena to be set on fire or charged with electricity, forcing more close quarters combat. Vampire gloves. For a limited time, every punch you land restores some of your health. Speed-ups, power-ups, remember those gooey guys in the 1v100 mode? How about an item that summons one to help you, like an assist trophy? I hope they go completely ballistic with these types of things. Hoops, V-ball, skill shot, headlock scramble, 1v100. These were definitely some highlights of the original ARMS experience for me. These modes are complete pandemonium. Not hyper-competitive or anything, just dumb fun. So of course they should add more. Fishing, King of the Hill, co-op PvE, an equivalent for Mario Kart Shine Thief and Smash Brothers coin battles. Bowling? With such a nebulous concept like ARMS, you could stretch it out to make just about any game type you could think of. So I really hope they do it. One of the big criticisms ARMS had at launch was that there really wasn't a lot to actually do. There's only so much a game's regular battle system can carry you without giving people unlockable incentives. Currently, all there are ARMS, which kinda lose their luster as an exciting unlockable once you realize you already have them all from the start. You kinda just end up, Quattro Disupple, unlocking the same things over and over again. And then you do it twice. These 10 extra points of damage sure don't make me want to die on the inside. I think the developers kind of realized this and added badges and gallery art as a response. But I think a rework of the entire system is in order. For starters, I think the redundant unlocking process for each arm is kind of lame. I'd actually much prefer just starting out with 3 arms for every single character combined, and then only having to unlock all the other ones once. With the important note of you being able to pick which ones you want, and it being much more expensive and/or challenging to compensate. Maybe making characters unlockable as well, but I understand that that's a matter of taste. On top of that, I'd also love the ability to purchase more recolors, alternate costumes, new taunts, or even old music tracks. On the off chance Via Dulce gets removed, I'll need this as a backup. Thinking of ways to improve ARMS' core gameplay is actually pretty difficult. There aren't really any other games like it, and any individual change would drastically alter how the entire system functions. Whatever I suggest may well break the game in its entirety, or be completely useless. Giving characters regular non-stretchy punches when up close, or tons of character-specific input special moves. These things might just be a bit too much. But I think regardless, people think the ARMS formula needs some big updates. ARMS as is a really fun game. Deeper than you would expect for sure, but also pretty accessible to newcomers. But there's still some mechanics that could use adjusting. Rush attacks, for example, can be incredibly inconsistent. Like half the time I can barely even tell what went wrong due to all the particle effects and junk. And the mechanic of twisting your arms properly has quite a bit of a learning curve. That or I just suck at the game. Either way, there should be an option in training mode to see the angle of your controller when you punch compared to the path the arm takes. That would help immensely. Also, maybe change up throws a bit. Obviously, they're easily counterable if you know what you're doing, but against everybody else and in more than 2-player battles, they're a bit much. One final change that seems minor but would greatly increase depth without sacrificing accessibility would be the ability to switch arms during a match. Like maybe when you're charged, you can use the left and right sticks to swap between arms you picked at the beginning of the fight. Not only would it give more strategy to arm selection, it would also give niche arms more of a time to shine. Plus, just generally, it would add more variety to matches. You could even up the amount of arms you can bring into a fight, like 3 different arms for each side instead of 3 in total, though that may be a bit much. I think one major thing holding ARMS back from competitive relevance is that there's very little move variety. In any given match, you can jump, dodge, grab, and punch. Even combos aren't something you can really do other than following up a punch with another slightly delayed punch. Arm swapping would help this variety problem immensely. But I think general new moves for every character on top of that would help just as much. I'm no fighting game balance expert, but here are a few I came up with. The ability to slide forward, gaining distance while also dodging under many different arm types. Lob shots that can go over the other guy's attacks but leave you vulnerable to attacks yourself. A mid-range uppercut that you can combo into or out of. It launches opponents into the air and then you can punch them in the face. Wow! The ability to pull off much faster yet weaker punches when you're semi-close to the opponent. Great for punishing in combos, but very risky, I'd think. Multiple grab types. Considering how many grabs go on in your average ARMS match anyways, I think each character should have multiple unique animations at least. But giving multiple ways to grab on top of that would be awesome. Really, I could go on. For all I know, these would completely destroy the game, but I think ARMS really needs something to spice it up a bit, you know? Speaking of which... Super moves are a gameplay mechanic that not only do I think would give more personality to every character, but would also make fights way more strategic. You know how in Street Fighter 4, characters have 2 different meters? Well, I personally think ARMS should as well. We have the current rush meter that can build up over multiple rounds and essentially is a super move for your arms. But we should also add a new second meter on top of that. That's a super for actual characters themselves. Rush mode is fun to pull off, but they're mostly pretty similar and it's not particularly flashy. It feels like it needs something to go along with it and complement it, right? That's where character-based supers could come in. They would be an absolute hype spectacle. Master Mummy could have a cinematic and immensely powerful grab. Mechanica could drop mines all over the battle arena. Min could go full Noodle Dragon. And Dr. Coil could equip Headlock. Though that may conflict with the Headlock Scramble mode, I'm just spitballing here. Really, the sky's the limit. Just do whatever. The most requested feature by far for ARMS 2 has got to be a robust single-player story mode. I think pretty much everyone can agree on that, but the harder question is, how could they pull it off? The gameplay of ARMS, unsurprisingly, doesn't lend itself well to a campaign, at least not nearly as well as Splatoon's does. So I think one decent way to do it without drastically altering gameplay would be taking the Mario Maker 2 approach, but like more so and better. You run around a big stinking hub with an entirely different, yet simple, control scheme and animations, and you use that to go to regular gameplay and progress the story. This hub could include shops, places to play minigames, and the ability to actually talk to other characters. Plus, I'd imagine you would be able to level up your fighter over the campaign, RPG style. Dr. Coyle would make a good starting villain until she has a redemption arc and inevitably gets replaced by the true villain of ARMS, Biff. And you'd get a ton of character interaction and world building out of it. Of course, that's just one way you could go. Who really knows what could potentially happen? I actually think if the effort was put in, ARMS could pull a Tekken and make a campaign that's fundamentally very different from normal gameplay. It would still have regular fights, obviously, but it could also have actual levels. If the movement and camera was properly adjusted, you could run around sniping fools, solving puzzles, and maybe do some actual platforming. Can you imagine just using your arms as a springboard to high jump, or maybe as a built-in grapple to latch onto stuff and swing around? The downside, of course, is that this is essentially an entirely different game. It would take less effort than making something completely from scratch, but it's still a lot. Frankly, I'd be happy with whatever we get, as long as we get something. If it's a high-quality thing, it could really carry the game, I think. I mean, this entry is almost a compilation of all my previous entries combined. More character and world building, new game modes, unlockables, it's the full package. If I could add anything to ARMS 2, it would definitely be this. And that's about everything I have to say about a game that theoretically doesn't even exist. If there's anything you'd like to see in ARMS 2, please leave a comment about it. I read all of them. And hey, if you're into this kind of thing, maybe subscribe or follow me on Twitter or something, that would be great. I sure do love shilling. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you later.